Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods here. It is finally freaking Friday, and I am glad the weekend is here. And tonight we got something special going on. We've been doing a fundraiser for Stuart Morrison. We are over the $4,000 mark. Shout out to you guys. We are working on getting down to his house to do a rebuild and stuff, and we're still working on the timeline and stuff. Stuart actually wants us to be there for his birthday, June 27th. But it's kind of a conflict because Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Ware are going to be here for a CSA show in the 26th. So it's like, you're killing me, Petey. You're killing me. But we'll see how we get this worked out. But tonight what we're going to do is DMV is going to be in the house, and we're going to do a special edition live stream. We are going to do a hot wing challenge. And Lola, I got your hot sauce. I got your ghost pepper and your scorpion pepper sauce that we will literally douse these things. And I'm going to go get some other ones because oh, Lordy. We're going to try and raise money by burning our intestines for Stuart Morrison. So tune in tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern. All right, so question here is, shout out to Stuart. He sent me this clip last night on the Cowboys missing out on a golden opportunity to win the Super Bowl. And you look at the past, you think about the Cowboys and some of the players that we've had that have come through. You know that we have had some really, really good players. And you wonder, how come teams that seem like they haven't had as many great players like we have that are doing successful things? What is it? Is it the coaching? Is it the mentality? Or is it the ownership? Well, this is kind of interesting because we all know that Stephen Jones is cheap. Stephen Jones is a penny pincher and doesn't like to spend money in free agency. You know, the Cowboys do such a great job in drafting that it gives you a false sense of we're great because we know how to draft. But the thing is you have to use free agency as a supplement to take you to another level. And that's the thing that the Dallas Cowboys don't seem to understand. But this clip from my man, Rich Eisen, sheds a whole new light to the penny pitching. Ross Tucker played for the Cowboys 1 year as well as 4 other teams, starts dishing on the Cowboys about how cheap they literally are. I want you to listen to this and think about this as far as building the roster.
Going to win a championship first, Patriots or Cowboys? What would you click on first?
Ooh.
You know the answer, Ross. It's okay.
Gosh, that's such a great question.
Thank you, sir.
You know, it's weird, Rich, because it feels like the Cowboys have sort of just missed out on a golden opportunity. You know, I think about their offensive line, Tyron Smith getting up there in years, Zach Martin probably past his peak, although he's still playing at a really high level. Zeke isn't what he was. Dak is now making huge money. Amari's gone. I feel like there's almost going to be like a 30 for 30 someday where we're going to look back and be like, how did they win? What did they win, one playoff game? Like, how is it possible that they had these good young skill players on rookie contracts, arguably the best line in the league for a couple of years, and they really did almost nothing with it? I mean, I know they made the playoffs and they won the division, but very, very little, not even getting to a conference championship game. Then you got the Patriots, who I was not impressed with their draft, although I guess nobody really asked me. I think they probably have a better chance than the Cowboys as long as Belichick is the coach there. I guess I would go Patriots. I will tell you this, though, Rich. This Jerry Jones $10 billion thing, it's really making me laugh. I'll tell you what he does know about. He knows about profit margin and EBITDA, because the Cowboys were the only team that I played for out of my 5 that charged you for lunch.
Come on.
They charged for lunch.
What?
They would payroll deduct. I think it was $100, might have been $150 they would payroll deduct $150 a week for lunch, and it was garbage. It was like mashed potatoes, and like fried chicken. And I remember I asked the finance guy, I'm like, "What is this $150 a week payroll?" He's like, yeah, it doesn't bother you that much, right? Look how much you're getting." I'm like, no, it bothers me. What is it? And he said, "That's for lunch." I said, "What if I just bring like a turkey sandwich? Like, are you still going to take the $150 away?" So, and not only that, Rich, when I got cut by Parcells, I went to the equipment room to get my helmet because I had started 7 games the year before, and Mike, the equipment guy, is a great guy. He said, "Jerry looks at that as his property, and we're going to have to payroll deduct you at $300. I'm like, "That's fine. I started 7 games with the Cowboys. I want to keep the helmet for my kids for the rest of my life. If you guys need a payroll, deduct me $300, go ahead." So they're definitely valuable, Rich. They definitely know profit margin in Dallas.
So are you saying, Ross Tucker, that the Cowboys are kind of like a golf club? There's a food and beverage minimum? Is that what you're saying, that you have to hit in order to? 'Cause did you bring a turkey sandwich and keep the $150 a week, or what?
No, I wanted to, though. I should have called him out on it. I mean, I literally talked to the finance guy, but I didn't actually go ahead with it. But, yeah, I mean, I played for 5 teams. They're the only one that charged for lunch. And I'm thinking, I don't know if anybody else charged me for my helmet. I mean, I'm looking behind me. The Bills didn't. The Patriots didn't. Washington didn't. So, yeah, I think the Cowboys were also the only team that ever charged for my helmet.
So you do believe the $10 billion line, then, the profit margin, margin call?
Here's what I believe, Rich.
Yes.
I know enough about businesses now to know that ultimately they're really trading off of EBITDA. And if you're charging your players for lunch and their helmet, probably got a pretty good EBITDA.
Yeah.
Probably got a lot of profit, a lot of earnings there, a lot of net income for Jerry Jones. Certainly more than the other people. I mean, we already know. We don't have to guess. We already know that they create the most revenue, and I'm giving you examples of them clearly cutting down on their expenses. So yeah, the cash is probably flowing very nicely there.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that.
Sure. You're welcome, Rich. So the Cowboys literally are penny pinching, not just with free agency. They're penny pinching everything. When you actually have to pay for the meals, you basically, and probably you get hit that whether you eat or not. You're getting hit. We're just we're going to take that. And this is where you start to realize herein lies the fundamental problem with the Cowboys, because it may end up being now sometimes things happen for a reason, and it may end up being that we look back and we say, "Wow, it's a good thing we didn't sign Randy Gregory to a long-term deal, because he didn't really pan out to much more than what he is right now. A 5-6 sack a guy a year is going to miss some times and have some boneheaded, penalties. Or it might end up being that he goes elsewhere and he thrives because you don't have to worry about passing the Dutchie, in Colorado. Read that as it may. But the reality is because they penny pinched, because they were trying to slip this thing in here on this contract, it lost you that guy, because they were looking at, we got to get rid of Amari Cooper because it's a $21 million cap hit, and we just got to hurry up and get rid of it. That cheapness cost them the possibility of having better draft picks of that trade. See, here's the thing that's funny, and this is what I've learned from business myself, is the cheapest price isn't always the cheapest price. You may pay less. And the great example was while we were working on the house that we were working on. Paint is a great one. You can look and you can see the contractor's grade paint. A 5-gallon bucket costs you $40. And it's not bad if you're going to spray the walls. It covers better if you spray. But if you go through and you paint the walls, you're going to need to prime them first. Or if there's, if it's a deep color, it's going to take 6 or 7 coats of paint to put it on there. Whereas when you get the really good stuff, it's like about $150 for a 5-gallon bucket. And you look at that and say, well, I'd rather spend $50 for that one as opposed to $150, right? But you open it up and you realize how watery it is and how it literally doesn't cover anything. This one over here, it's got the primer in it. It's a little thicker. It covers better. It wears longer. Yeah, it costs $150. But guess what? I'm not going to have to repaint this. I can take some Fantastic, spray the walls, and clean it off. And so the fact that I don't have to put on 5 or 6 coats of paint, which means I've got to buy more of it, I can put 1 coat of this on and be done. And that's where my time is valuable. And it's the same thing about buying a cheap faucet or a cheap ceiling fan. You buy those things, they wear out in 6 months or a year. You're paying somebody to come back and have to redo it. So it costs you more money. And herein lies the problem with Stephen Jones. Oh, well, you know, we'll get some value picks here. We'll get some value. We're going to make sure we penny pinch and hold on to every nickel and dollar. But the thing is you're wasting the good stuff that you have because you're so cheap in trying to cover that bottom line that instead of saying, you know what, we've invested in Dak, we've invested in Zeke, we've invested in Tyron Smith, you know, we've invested in getting these good players here, but then you turn around and you buy the cheap paint. And when you look at the finished product, you see it's cheap paint because you can have the great 2x4s in the wall and the electrical done right and the plumbing and things, but it's the stuff on the outside that people see and they look at that and say, man, this looks like shit. And that's the same thing in football, that you get so close with the pieces that you have, but then you don't go just enough to get there. Now, as we sit here today, we have $13.3 million of cap space. We still have Jake Ferguson left to sign on the rookie deal. But other than that, and that won't cost us so much. Actually, let me I'll look in here and see, give me an example. What Sam Williams' cap number for this year as our number 2 pick is only $1.1 million, I think it is. So looking down the line here, James Washington's only $1 million. Wow. Looking down the line here, Jake Tolbert is only 933. So you can see that his number, cap number, will only be about 800,000. So that'll give us about $12.5 million of cap space. And then you look at this and say, we got another $10 million going. Now I'm going to make you sick right now. I'm going to make you sick right now. Now, they say that they're working on, or they would like to get a long-term deal done with Dalton Schultz. That may be the case. I don't know. But if we just take the $12 million that we have right now, with the way teams structured their contracts, Zadarius Smith, Bobby Wagner, and Von Miller could be Dallas Cowboys right now with this draft class. And we'd be getting another $10 million on the 1st of June. Do you think that if the Cowboys, and don't get me wrong, I think the Cowboys have a great draft. I think the Cowboys have a great draft. I love it. I think the Cowboys have a great core group of people. I do. But could you imagine Bobby Wagner mentoring Micah Parsons? Could you see Zadarius Smith helping on that defensive line, helping to stop the run? Could you see Von Miller, although now looking at Von Miller, you know, now that we got Sam Williams, it's not as much a need and stuff. But just for the sake of argument, how about we ended up getting Von Miller and you let Dante Fowler go? I'm just saying, you know, somewhere in there like that. But that's just to give you an example, and I'm not saying that those are the 3 guys that we need. But you think about those guys, and you think about Stephen Jones penny pinching, how much better this team could be. Because, see, the thing is if you do have a guy like Bobby Wagner there, who may be getting older, he may be slowing down. I'm not going to say that he's not. But if you have him in your rotation and you end up losing somebody else, you can better weather the storm of injuries. And this is the problem for the Cowboys is we start out gangbusters. When we have everybody healthy, you look at the Cowboys, and I bet you traditionally the Cowboys of the last 15 years start off better than they finish because we have great frontline guys. But because Stephen Jones, instead of going out there and signing a capable backup, will go ahead and get a Ty Nsekhe to back up Tyron Smith. It's like going to Chaz Green. And when guys get hurt, because we penny pinch, we don't have them there. And herein lies the conundrum of how we always do good enough to be relevant, but not good enough to compete when it comes playoffs. Because our frontline guys are worn out, they're tired, they're injured, and we're going down to guys that aren't quite as good. And that can be definitely looked at towards the problems the Cowboys have in the playoffs. When you think about, let's say, for example, here, let's give you a perfect example. The Rams knew that Jared Goff was not the quarterback that was going to be able to win the Super Bowl. They went out and said, we're not going to worry about what it costs. Matthew Stafford is the best option for us. And I'm not going to say that they won the Super Bowl because of Matt Stafford alone. They also did a lot of other things. They surrounded him with great weapons. You think about Cooper Kupp and the way he was playing. You think about Jefferson was doing really, really well, and then Jefferson got hurt. And they turned around and they said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and get Odell Beckham to make sure we have the weapons there. We're not going to be afraid of giving up a draft pick for Von Miller for a rental. We're not going to be afraid of spending some cash to bring in another guy, because in the end, these guys that we're adding to the mix are helping to get us over the hump and weather the storm of that long season. So, Stephen Jones, the cheapest price is not the cheapest price. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you tune in tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, for our live stream. We are going to get hot up in here with the Hot Wings Challenge with my man DMV. We'll be talking about the Dallas Cowboys and all the prospects in there, and we'll be working on raising funds for our buddy Stuart Morrison. Hope to see you guys here tonight. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is